rectangular solid picture here represents a dry sponge. See, it's 4 inches by 0.5 inches by 3 inches, and the first bullet says to find the volume of the sponge in cubic inches. Now, here you want to look at your reference sheet to make sure that you have the correct shape. This is what's called a rectangular prism, and the volume of a rectangular prism, the formula, volume is equal to length times width times height. So the formula is provided for you, the numbers are provided for you. This is a very easy bullet to do. Substitute the numbers where they go. So our length is equal to 4 inches, our width is 0.5 inches, and our height is 3 inches. So we are going to literally multiply 4 times 0.5 times 3, and when we do that we will end up with 6. And since we multiplied inches times inches times inches, it means that we have 6 cubic inches, or 6 inches cubed. So we had a formula, and all we had to do was substitute the numbers in. That's the first bullet. Second bullet, when the sponge is soaked in water, okay, it's going to increase in size, and it says each of its dimensions will increase by 100%. So we're going to need to find the volume of the sponge after it's been soaked in water, which means we now need to find what the new dimensions are. And the key here, obviously, is the increase by 100%. To find a percent of a number, you are multiplying. If you were finding 50% of a number, you would multiply by 0.50. So to find 100%, you move the decimal 2 places. You are literally multiplying by 1. So starting with our length of 4, we multiply that by 1, and our new length is going to increase by 4. For our width, which was 0.5, we're going to multiply that by 1, and it will increase by 0.5. And for our height, which was 3, multiplying that by 1, it will increase by 3. And don't forget that this is an increase, which means the length that was 4, we are now going to add 4 more to it. So the new length is going to be 8 inches. Our width, which was 0.5, we're adding another 0.5 to it. 0.5 plus 0.5 is equal to 1. So the width is now 1 inch. And the height, which was 3, we are increasing it by another 3. So the height is now 6 inches. And if you notice what happened with these numbers, the 4 became 8, the 0.5 became 1, and the 3 became 6. Increasing by 100% is the same thing as doubling a number. So now we have our volume. We're set to find our volume. 8 inches by 1 inch by 6. We go back to our same formula again. Volume is equal to the length times the width times the height, which in this case is 8 inches times 1 inch times 6 inches. So we're going to multiply 8 times 1 times 6, which is 48. And since, again, we're multiplying inches times inches times inches, we get 48 cubic inches, or 48 inches cubed. So our second bullet is now complete. The third bullet says, what is the ratio of the volume of the soaked sponge to the volume of the dry sponge? And on a ratio question, it's very important that you pay attention to the order. The soaked sponge is the one that comes first, and then the dry sponge. So the volume of our soaked sponge was our second bullet. That's the 48 cubic inches. And the volume of the dry sponge was the original one, which was the 6. So there's a few different ways that you can write a ratio. You can write it as a fraction. We can write it as 48 over 6. We can write it using a colon in between, where we have 48 to 6. You can also write it in words if you wanted to. Literally 48 with the word 2, T-O, 6. Okay? But either way, we need to simplify this ratio. They can all be reduced. So if we take the 48 over 6 and reduce it, it becomes 8 over 1. If we take the 48 to 6, that becomes 8 to 1. And the same thing in words, it becomes 8 to 1. And that is the final ratio there. When it says the ratio of the volume to the soaked to the dry, it is 8 to 1. This part specifically says to explain your answer and show your work. Here's our work. You can see we did 48 to 6, 48 to 6. Everything is written out there. And that's it. Now you have another question completed.